The other day I did a video on a 2026 GMC Sierra 3500 Denali long bed, and when I got home I pulled the window sticker, and when I saw the discount on the truck I was shocked. And that got me wondering, is GMC in trouble? Because there was a time when an AT4 or even a regular Denali didn't have any discounts, and now you're starting to see these trucks heavily discounted. So let's go ahead and jump online. I am here at Jerry Seiner GMC here in South Jordan, Utah. If you would like to purchase a truck, right now is probably the best time because prices are going down. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say it's probably because of fuel prices, things like that. I would say that is definitely deterring some people, but it's not the biggest issue right now. I think a lot of people might be just waiting to see what's to come in the future. But regardless of it, as I said earlier, it's definitely a good time to start looking. I'm on Jerry Seiner's website, and they show about 109 2026 GMC Sierra 2500 and 3500 trucks. Okay, now they have 3 locations, so some of them are going to be here, some are going to be at their North Salt Lake, and they have a Vegas location too. Now, the first truck we're going to look at in this video is going to be the work truck model. So this is obviously the entry level. Now, as I've always said, work trucks are going to obviously not have as much margin in them because there's not a lot of options on them. Like, you can't get expensive packages, and so once you start moving up the trim level, you start to see the discounts get a lot bigger. But regardless of that, you guys see this truck had a MSRP of $72,945. They actually discounted this truck $4,000, and then GM has here in this business center for GMC $1,000 cash. So depending on where you live in the country, it could be a little different. Okay, so in total this truck has a discount of $68,323. When it comes down to work truck models, however, I will say, depending on where you live at, these trucks do not get as much money on trade-in value. So if you're someone that only keeps your truck for 2-3 years, it may make sense to step up to like a SLE or even an SLT trim level and just get no options except for obviously like the 5th wheel prep package, diesel, etc. Now up next is the SLE trim, and this is probably the best bargain, I would say, because you don't have to get leather seats in that trim, and some people do like that more basic truck with nice comfort features. So you can get dual climate control and all those nice features in this truck. Front and rear parking sensors are available. Now this truck is priced at $78,260, so just under 80 grand. Every truck that I show you today is going to be a 1-ton with the diesel, just so we're on the same page. And with their discount here at Jerry Seiner plus the GM cash, you're at $72,562 with the documentation fee there. So basically $6,000 in discounts. Not bad for a step up from a work truck model truck. Now the SLT is going to add leather seats. It's going to give you the option for a center console. Sunroof is available in that truck, and I would say that this is probably the sweet spot so long as you don't do what they did with this truck here. So this has an MSRP of $87,705. It's very expensive for a truck that you can't get painted bumpers on, and there's just a few things that are missing that aren't available, like heads-up display. You can't get the camera for the rearview mirror, I believe, on that truck too. You'd have to step up to a Denali, so just be mindful of this because the discount on this truck is not that big. So you're seeing here the Seiner cash is $5,700, and then you have the $1,000 GM cash, so that's just under $7,000. So I would say that the SLE might be the better buy, or just stepping up to a base Denali, because if you don't know, a Denali cost $89,000 with the diesel and destination, and you can just buy it just like that. Now you won't have heads-up display, the camera, rearview mirror, sunroof, powered pullable running boards, but some of those things aren't available on that SLT either. Up next, we are actually sitting inside of an AT4. Let's go ahead and step outside for a second really quickly. So this is probably the most popular trim level simply because it has blackout painted bumpers, and it looks cool, right? But even still, this truck has pretty big discounts available from the dealer and GM, simply because there is more inventory on AT4. So I think that this is probably the golden ticket in terms of getting a good deal and getting a great truck that has great towing capacity. Now this truck here does have a leveling kit on it, and I'm hoping to do a video that I did on another one that they sold following up on the ride compared to my truck. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that upload. Now this AT4 that I pulled is a long bed. MSRP is $92,210. But you guys see right there, this basically has $7,000 in discounts. $85,606. And what was that SOT? That SOT was $81,394. That's why I still believe, be very careful on how you package these trucks. Sometimes it might make sense just to go up to a higher trim level. I'm going to keep telling you guys that. And it's really for resale value, because sometimes when you go in to trade your truck in, they don't normally see a lot of those options that you picked. So you don't even get credit for those in a lot of cases. So the Denali trim that I picked was the most expensive one. And that's something I want to mention to you guys here too. This truck actually has additional cash on it, right? So I did a video on this truck, and I was shocked when I saw how much money they were taking off. It's a 2026 Denali with the long bed. So right there, GM is giving you basically $3,000, and Seiner's giving you $6,754. So basically $7,000 there, plus an additional $3,000. That's $10,000 off on this truck. And I'm willing to bet you, if you were to come in here today and buy that truck, they would give you the full $10,000, maybe even a little bit more. But again, you got to sharpen your pencil. I'm not telling you and suggesting that they will do that. So regardless of it, this is what I like about these higher trim levels. They do give you more discounts available because there's more margin between the MSRP and the invoice price. So this truck is probably priced slightly below invoice, and you're getting additional rebates from the manufacturer. Now the last two trim levels we're going to discuss here are obviously the most expensive ones. So starting off with the Denali Ultimate. Denali Ultimate is the top trim. However, if you option out an AT4X with every single option, then they can actually be the most expensive truck. But regardless of it, if you're looking at a Denali Ultimate, right, this truck has an MSRP of $101,435. The only rebate I saw online was $1,000, but the dealership is not showing any other discounts. However, if you were to call in, ask for Frank, or you can text his number at the very beginning, I had his number in the video here. If you were to text him, I'm willing to bet you he'd be willing to make you an offer on one of these Denali Ultimates, because they have 17 of these things at all 3 locations. So this is probably the least amount of inventory they have on this trim level, and these sell really well, which is why you're not going to see as big a discounts on these compared to like a regular Denali AT4 or even like a SOT SLE. However, AT4X is a different story. AT4X, they only have 6 of those in inventory, and some of them aren't even here because they're in transit. And most of the time when you see an AT4X, it's already spoken for. So right over here, they had this silver one. Now, on the other lot, I'm going to show it to you really quickly here. This red AT4X is still here. If you're looking to get a great deal on a truck, red tends to be that color that people can get discounts on a lot better, because red trucks do sell a little bit slower, right? It's a very acquired taste, in my opinion, for some people, especially for a truck, because it's such a big chunk of metal and it's bright red. So yeah. Now you guys see here, this AT4X is sold. Right in the window, you can see has a sold sign. And you guys see right here, this has the 6.6 liter gas V8. So 30% of people order and buy these trucks with the gasoline engine, because you save that $10,000 on the window sticker, right? So that's 10 grand right there you save. And even still, this truck is sold. These are really, really popular. And I don't think they even had $1,000 cash. I'll show it to you guys here really quickly. But yeah, if you're looking at Denali Ultimate and AT4X, these are still selling pretty well. And most of the time, they're spoken for before they even get to the dealership. So I hope this video was helpful. I'm going to answer that question now. Is GMC in trouble? It depends on what happens in the next 90 days, right? We're currently pretty much at the end of May, and I would say that GM has probably the most inventory out there, right? Their inventory levels are definitely higher than what they were even last year. And so with them getting ready to redesign the half tons, and obviously the HDs are not going to get any changes until probably 2028, potentially even 2029. They could be out in 2028 as a 2029 model. I would say that GM has a lot of work to do to get rid of this inventory, because trucks are selling a little bit slower. Some of you guys have been asking me to do videos around like sales. I'm waiting to see some more sales data before I do a video, because I want to give you guys good information, obviously. But yeah, trucks are definitely selling a little bit slower. And I don't think that it's because of fuel prices. I think that fuel prices are a reason, but it's not the only reason. I think that it's just how expensive everything is. Everything is more expensive. If you buy a house, if you want to finance that house, it's more expensive. So I don't know if it's even fuel prices alone. So I think that GM is not necessarily in trouble, but they definitely have a lot of work to do. They definitely have to do more than just incentivize. I think that even just bringing these prices down just slightly, right? I mean, if you can discount a truck nearly $10,000, maybe that truck is just too expensive anyways. So I hope you guys like the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want, I could do a video like this for Ram. I can do a video like this for Ford. But I figured I would do this video for you guys because some of you have been asking me about GM trucks and if they're a good bargain. And as of what I saw, if you're looking at a long bed GM truck, yes, that's where the biggest value is, because they have deeper discounts and more rebates on that inventory. See you guys in the next video. Since you stayed to the end, I want to show you guys the numbers side by side. And I can definitely tell you, if you're in the market and you're looking for the best bargain, I really think that the SLE is that. You can clearly see it based off of some of the options and features, especially if you go on the website, look up this MSRP on Jerry Seiner's website, and you will see some of the options and features based off of the discount and the rebate. This is a really good deal. You're not too far off from a work truck model, which has basically the old interior from 2020. Now, I will say, if you want the best discount, the Denali has additional rebates. You can typically get a lot more off. You can probably buy these trucks below invoice, especially if a dealership has a lot of inventory on this truck. Because you guys can see right there, I mean, this truck was 100 grand and they got it under $90,000. That's pretty much like what you see from Ram. So all in all, the Ultimate and the X, you have to sharpen your pencil a little bit more so. But again, this is just something to consider if you are in the market.